Welcome to the second battle between Jokunn playing as Epirus versus Matty playing as Bactria. Now Jokunn is playing Epirus and he has access to bronze pikemen. Bronze pikemen are superior to the pikemen of Pergamon, Bactria, and also the pikemen of Egypt. The strongest pike nations are Macedon, Egypt, and Seleucids. Now, Epirus is like the fourth strongest. What makes Egypt count as the stronger pike nations? It is to the fact that they have royal peltas pikemen, right? So the native pikemen will occupy the Sarissa, the bronze pikes, for example, and then you smash the supporting infantry. That's what makes it what Egypt counts as the strongest anyway, despite the fact that most of their Sarissa pikemen are inferior. Anyway, we have 5 units of bronze pikemen here, and now Matty do have 2 units of late version Macedonian pikemen. A little bit heavier than the Bactrian phalangites, but they cost 150 denarii more than what the bronze pikeman does. So from that perspective, those money could have been spent elsewhere. So 5 units of bronze pikemen here for Epirus. 4 units of Tyreosi swordsmen. They have javelins. And then we have Tyreosi spears here behind them to support against cavalry and elephants. We have a slinger unit, an archer unit, an oxybellis to counter cavalry behind the pikemen so it's safe. An Indian elephant, a melee cavalry as a bodyguard, and then 3 units of Sarissa lancers. Now the Sarissa lancers are a very formidable light cavalry unit. They will beat melee cavalry on the charge very badly. They have 8 speed also, so they are very fast. Now Matty's army has 2 units of late version pikemen. They have a stats wise 11, 13, 35, 9, 12, 35. You have a little bit better stats, but nothing decisive. Not decisively better. In a head-to-head on fight against these bronze pikes, they will maybe winning, but they're still going to lose. And they have no morale. The morale is 1 step better than the bronze pikemen, so yeah, it's still gonna be very even between them. Yeah, he has also have 3 versions of the earlier version, and these men are inferior to bronze pikemen. He has 2 units of Bactrian cavalry, and these men have armor piercing ability, but they're melee cavalry and they are inferior on the charge compared to Sarissa lancers. He has a unit of Sogdian riders, camel riders, and they have bows and they do scare cavalry. He has an Indian elephant. He has Tyreosi spears, 2 units of them to protect support cavalry. He has 2 units of the Greco-Bactrian assault infantry. And these men are the heavier version. They are not the early version, they're the late version. So they have armor. And a little bit better in everything that the earlier version could do. He has a unit of Pisidian settlers. These men can have 4 javelins. So these men can skirmish, and then they have armor piercing ability that they can use. But these men are also very pricey, 1,400. So Bactria has 5 units of cavalry. He has 4 units and its general. So 5 units of cavalry versus 4. But however, the oxybellis does counter that quite well. We can also see that this side has more supporting infantry than the other side. So Matty is probably going to want his plan is to overload this side here with his supporting infantry and be defensive on the other side. That's why these pikemen in that way he can sort of just occupy the bronze pikes, smash the flank early, get himself an advantage. Let's just keep moving here. The oxybellis, however, is already within range of the Bactrian cavalry, and Matty's pikemen are going this way. And that's the wrong call. His pikemen should be like in front of this pikeman here, and then keep going overloading on this flank. Get your cavalry outside the range of the Scorpio here. Now these Bactrian archers are already set to flaming ammunition, so that's why they have lower range. Right now. They would have get normal range, same as the Greek archers, if this archer unit was set to normal arrows. But Epirus still have superior firepower because he has slingers also. So what could Bactria do here? Send the camel riders to this side, try to shoot the sides over here, get the shock cavalry and the elephants over here, be defensive on this side, be offensive over here. After all, this is where you have your heavier assault infantry. Go these units to the side here with the Tiriosi. But unfortunately for Bactria, like his cavalry is already getting hit. Now the Bactrian general just keep getting back into the fight here. For some reason, like you seen what the Scorpio could do to your cavalry here. This cavalry is still going inside the range of the Scorpio. And this will weaken up the mobility. Like that's a lot of horsemen dead for the Bactrians. And since the Sogdian riders are not melee cavalry, these men will die very easily to a Sarissa Lancer on the charge. So Bactria trying to get his flaming archers into the range of the Oxybeles. He shoots a volley, but it's not working. There needs several volleys to do it, and you can't really do it if you're losing. You don't have any firepower to begin with. Now these archers are just hammering away. These Bactrian archers are suffering. What you could do, and his best option, would be to use these Bactrian javelin men now. These men are cheap and will die to arrows anyway. You need to get yourself an advantage. Get these javelin men, one here, hurl at these two pikemen. Why these two? Because they're at the end of the line. And then you can then get... But again, like this, he has overstretched on this side. There's no pikemen over here. And these infantry has superior speed. So yes, this cavalry is now inferior in terms of numbers. The Bactrian general is taking casualties. Most of the units of Bactria doesn't have a disciplined trait. So if this general would have been killed, then all his troops will be demoralized. So these pikemen are not used correctly here. Like maybe Matty is trying to copy Nightgale's tactic against Geo, but you need free speed pikemen to do that. And if you wanted to do it like what Egypt did to him, again, it's free speed pikemen, and there was a lot of support infantry also available. Here, like it is Matty, what he needs to do, like this pikeman should have been here blocking, and this assault infantry could have moved in with the Pisidians. But now this general has taken a lot of damage. This general is very badly damaged. This unit is badly damaged. It still has Sogdians, but these men are just standing here. These Indian elephants just keep moving here. If you're gonna be attacking here, you need to be already ready, already going. With the elephants, with the cavalry, with the Tsuriosi spears. Because you need to push here. But you can see here, Epirus is just avoiding the pikemen here. They have inferior speed. Now maybe Matty had made a line here, but he couldn't retreat this one in time. And now Epirus is taking advantage. His pikemen charged head on against a formed pike line here. And now Matty is feeling forced to feel attacking here, because he made a misclick here, and he couldn't retreat it in time. You need to pin this one in place, get his Indian elephants. This general is just 52 men left now, so he's not going to be very effective here, and there's just superior cavalry now for Epirus. These Basidian settlers are hurling at this swordsman unit, and they're doing a lot of damage here. But he can't block these bronze pikes, so these bronze pikes could keep pushing here. So, but he could use these Greco javelin men. He needs to push here. He needs to get these javelin up here, hurl at the bronze pikes. He needs to make a breach. He needs to reduce the pressure, and then send in these late versions, because he's still like even on support cavalry. Jokunn is just retreating with his bronze pikemen, and they still have superior cavalry. There's an elephant here, so like Bactria can't really make a, because then the elephants will take advantage. Jokunn is just gonna keep firing. Now it's firing at this Bactrian cavalry. So this Bactrian cavalry, like, it's still within range. So unfortunately for Matty, he attacked the wrong side. He didn't keep his cavalry safe from the Scorpio. But he could have, like, if he was more offensive oriented, like, and placed his pikemen correctly in front of the bronze pikes, and then pushed hard here on one side, it could have worked. But it's going to be hard anyway. Jokunn is like a more experienced online player, so it's going to be hard for Matty in any case. These Sogdians could definitely have been used on this side, but to shoot the Seriously swordsmen mainly. These javelin men are not being used, and the bronze pikemen are losing. I mean, the Bactrian pikemen are losing to these bronze pikes. There's a slight gap here that could have been exploited by support, but there's no pikemen here on this side, and there's lots of support. So now, right now, like Epirus has a clear tactical advantage, and not only in army selection, but also on the field. Now, Jokunn is sending in a Sarissa Lancer here to try to pin this elephant in place. These Sogdians are just going to keep firing, but most Bactrian units have now been suffering quite badly. This unit is suffering badly. This Seriously spearmen are losing to these pikemen, so here he has a slight hope. But now, like, it's not going to work. Let's see how this Bactrian cavalry does against the Sarissa Lancers. The Sarissa Lancers got a lot more kills, and these Bactrian cavalry was already inferior in numbers, so now they're wavering. Yeah, so it was a tactical error by Matty to not having his pikemen there. Yeah, it could then have overloaded this side, just be defensive over here, and having a Sogdian shoot from this side into the... But with Oxybellis, yes, it's gonna be hard. But with a hard flank, with the elephants in front, and whilst do I pin the supporting infantry, like, it would have been very hard for still to... yeah, he has elephants of his own, yes. But it would have been his best chance. This general is trying to escape from the Sarissa Lancer, but it's not going to work. This Sarissa Lancer is 8 speed after all. So that will rout the Bactrian general, maybe kill him. And then all troops of Bactria are going to be demoralized. Yeah. There's a breach here. These Bactrian javelin men are hurling against it. But this Bactrian assault infantry got hit in the side. The Sarissa Lancers are taking damage because they're staying in combat, but as soon as they're pulled out, they don't really take much damage anymore. The Greek and the Epirus elephants are scaring the Bactrian infantry. The Epirus general is charging in here against the assault infantry, and the assault infantry is starting to face them. But now they're vulnerable to flank charges here. One unit could keep moving here, and another one could just go to the side here. Attacking to both sides here were a bit unnecessary, because this one unit hit the rear of his own bodyguard. But they have now where the elephants here coming in. Yeah, it's too few pikemen here, and they're too few in numbers. Here, Bactria has a slight advantage, but he needs to get this cavalry out of here and then charge another unit. But it's still, like, too much damage has been done to the Bactrian army to actually win. But it would have been more honorable to, like, just try to retreat a cavalry unit and then try to get a route here on something. Because now the Epirus cavalry is they're just gonna wrap around and shatter all this infantry for start, because Jokunn does have an advantage. These bronze pikemen are attacking outside of pike phalanx, because he only needs to rout the enemy. Then he gets just more infantry freed up. These Tyreus' swordsmen are attacking the flank of these Tyreus' spears. Now these men rout. These bronze pikemen are trying to protect themselves. The slingers are shooting at these Bactrian cavalry. It could have been like one unit of cavalry targeting this one, whilst the other one goes for the slinger, so you get like damaging up 2 units. Maybe this swordsman would have been a good choice. But again, it won't matter. Now the Epirus, the elephants are being caught off by these Bactrian Tyreus spears. And they have taken javelins, and they have fought several units now, so they are starting to get themselves killed. And now the Epirus, the generals, pops a scare on these Tyreus spears. That is going to make them rout. There's not many elephants left now, but they still provide a scare effect. And the Bactrian general is here to provide a good hammer and anvil. The Bactrians are helpless, like they're facing way too much now. Yeah, so these pikemen get charged in the rear, and now these Tyreus spears are fighting on their own. They're facing pikes, swordsmen. Yeah, it's rough. Good game to both players here. Now Matty did have like one extra cavalry unit, but he got himself killed off by the Oxybelus. That advantage was lost. He definitely had an overload of support infantry on one side, and it could have been he could have used that one to his advantage if his pikemen were in front of the bronze pikes. Because then he only needed to be defensive on one side. The Sogdian riders could perhaps have been on that side and then shot the unshielded side. But whilst the elephants and the cavalry, the shock cavalry, were going to go to the other side. And then you just use the rosy spears there, because Matty could have overloaded that one side where his assault infantry was, if only his pikemen were positioned correctly. To block off the bronze pikemen, and then he could have used his superior support infantry, because these men were superior to, like, man for man they are, and he did have one extra unit of spearmen unit, like, because these spears, the Tyreus spears, will beat the Tyreus swordsmen once the javelins have been thrown. So it's about, you need to take the damage of these Tyreus swordsmen first. Like, you try to occupy them in melee as quickly as possible before they have thrown all their javelins. And if, like, for example, Jokunn would have sent in a spearman to protect the Tyreus swordsmen, yeah, it would have worked. But if you have occupied a anti-cavalry unit, giving your cavalry a little bit better chance. Now these javelin men were not, they couldn't really be used. They were like too lightly armored, and they died because of a bad placement by the Bactrian pikemen. So yeah, that's what cost the battle. First, mostly the Scorpio that damaged up all the Bactrian cavalry, so Bactria couldn't contain the Epirus cavalry. He already has inferior pikemen. Jokunn placed his pikemen very well to counter the Bactrians, and so yeah, it could have could have been a better chance for Matty to have his pikemen in front of the bronze pikes again, overloaded that side, because that side was already overloaded and had superior support infantry. So it could have worked on that side and occupy the other side, essentially. But the strength of Bactria would have been to have the strength of Bactria. You take this noble cavalry, like this is a very good cavalry unit. It will weaken up the Sarissa Lancers for sure. It's just that that's inferior speed. You have Indian elephants. Yeah, this cavalry is what you're gonna take. For the price, this is the best general you can take. Then you have these infantry to choose from. And what you could do is you're going to take the Sogdian Axemen. These men are very good for the price. And they have a very aggressive unit, lots of armor piercing here, a very good charge. These men are really good. Just don't let them get hit by javelins. You're going to take the Tyreosi Spears. This is a very good unit. Why are you gonna take these men? Because they have very good anti-cavalry. They seem to have a melee attack of 7, right? But what is 7 plus 17? Isn't that 24? So yeah, it would have been 24 in attack versus cavalry and elephants. And they are 300 men. They have a javelin also. Why wouldn't you take them? And now in terms of pikemen, you take these Macedonian settlers. Why? Because they're cheaper than the other version, and the other version is still inferior to the bronze pikemen. Well, they are better, but you know, if you don't want to fight pike on pike combat anyway. So just keep these men outside the range of the bronze pikes, occupy them whilst you win with your supporting infantry. Now Bactria's strength is in its missiles, and you have like these Peltas pikemen, Peltas pikemen, Greco-Bactrian Peltas. They have 8 ammunition, they have armor piercing here. They're cheaper than a heavier Peltas version of other nations. They may not have as much armor, but they have armor piercing weapons and are very useful to create a breach. I took the Indian longbowmen here. These men are more costly, but they can definitely deal with Greek archers, Greek slingers, and then you can have fired at the Oxybeles, the Sarissa Lancers, the Tyreosi swordsmen, the elephants. Like you could have targeted the elephants with these men. And yeah, you still have the javelins here, but if let's say, can we do it better here? I took these Greco-Bactrian light cavalry because of you save 50 denarii, and you get armor piercing ability. Like these Bactrian light cavalry have access here, so that's a really good. Let's see. It depends on what you want to have, right? If you want to have best of both worlds, you do something like this. But then it's less firepower against Oxybeles, and you would have to get closer. You probably would still win against the Greek archers and slingers because you have superior armor. That could have definitely worked, and then you could have used your javelins elsewhere. Let's see. Then this maybe 1 unit of assault infantry, then there's 50 points there. Yay, we can have 2 units of Bactrian light archers here, and they still have armor piercing ability. It gives you a little bit more range on the bows. So then doesn't Jokunn get a better infantry? No, the Tyreosi spears will still win. You have 2 more Tyreosi spears than what Jokunn had. So you can, like, if you just tie up the Tyreosi spears of the enemy, then you still have spears to help you in the charge You still have 2 units of Greco Bactrian cavalry. If you charge the sides and then have these Bactrian horse archers also supporting, then yeah, it could have not on the charge. Definitely do not charge these Bactrian horse archers into Sarissa lancers head on. These men will melt for sure. But if you first use your Marian longbowmen, then get a, yeah, again, pin these men against the bronze pikes and push the sides. Then use your Bactrian peltas to create a breach. Then smash in once you have an advantage. These Sogdian axemen are very aggressive and will beat the infantry of the Epirus. This Greco assault infantry is also very good, so would have won against the two, but like again, there was wrong placement by the Bactrian pikemen that cost him the battle, and of course the fact that his cavalry got charged by the Scorpio, attacked by the Scorpio and got decimated. So already having inferior cavalry, like this Bactrian cavalry, yes, they have 3 precursors, yes, they have armor piercing, but on the charge they lose anyway to the Sarissa Lancers. I think this was more a factor of like he didn't really know Bactria. So yeah, I think that was the main reason. But his original placement was so good. Like he had one side overloaded with support infantry, and then the Bactrian pikemen could have been used to just hold the enemy in place and be defensive on the far end, and then really hit hard the other side. But he got caught up by the Oxybelles, and that it damaged up his cavalry, and that made him disoriented and cost him the battle, unfortunately. Good game to both players. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.